Hello, viewers. Welcome to the inaugural episode of Immigration for All, presented by Nora Global and powered by 𝗠liche. For today's session, I'm your host, Sabrina. You may already know that we have rebranded our popular Monday Life series under this new banner to better reflect our mission of providing comprehensive immigration insights. As of this revamp, we are excited to announce the upcoming launch of our podcast, allowing you to tune into our live sessions at your convenience. For today's session, our topic is EB1 for journalists. Without any delay, let's welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Raju Mahajan, the principal attorney of Raju Law.
Thank you very much, Sabrina, for inviting me here. I welcome all of our audience at this moment and future audience and viewers. So this is as Sabrina just mentioned, this we rebranded our Monday Live. Now it's called Immigration for All. And we will also, so the same content would be available in a podcast. So no matter what is your platform for podcast, you will get the audio version in your convenient time. And also, like previously, we had live broadcasted in Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So now we are present everywhere, no matter where you follow your news.
Okay, hello, Mr. Mahajan. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm fine as well. Thank you. Before we dive into today's topic, I would like to remind you that if you have any questions or queries, comments, feel free to share them with us through the comment box or via email. Additionally, Mr. Mahajan will be taking live calls after his presentation. You can find the calling number displayed on the screen. Mr. Mahajan, please proceed with the today's topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I see the PowerPoint? Yeah. Hello, everyone. As you already know, last couple of weeks I have been talking about EB1 green card applications. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about EB1 for STEM professionals. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. If you're interested to see the video, you can go to our YouTube channel and watch that video. And last week, we talked about EB1A for athletes. So no matter you're like an athlete, coach, or manager of like a team, like a sporting team, it can be beneficial for you. You can also watch that video in your YouTube channel. And today we are talking about EB1A green card application for journalists. The reason we are talking about EB1 for different professionals, because sometimes it depends on your background, depends on your profession, and sometimes we get questions and calls about any specific background. That's why we decided to talk about EB1A for different professionals. I think today is our last day for EB1A. Next Monday we'll talk about some different topics. So without further delay, let's go to EB1A presentation. Can I see the next slide? Thank you. Also, one thing I should remind you, because EB1A is one application. You can come from different background. You can be athlete, you can be STEM professional, you can be actor, actress, you can be anything. You can be journalist. So many things that I told before, many things that I explained last week or the week before is very similarly applicable to this presentation too. So if I repeat any points, please don't mind, because I really need to repeat it because we're talking about EB1A. Like, for example, why you should apply for EB1A visa. This is equally applicable to all professions, no matter what is your background is. Because number one, because it's a very it's designed for individuals with extraordinary ability. So no matter what is your field of expertise, if you are an extraordinary ability person in your field, EB1A application is for you, no matter what is your background. Number two, it's a self-sponsorship, meaning you do not need a job here in America. You do not need a sponsor. You do not need anybody to sponsor your application. This is a huge positive things for EB1A, because if you need a sponsorship from an organization or a person, they have their own requirement, they have their own demand. Sometimes you may not be able to fulfill their demand. So sometimes many applications, for example EB3, a lot of people, they want to apply for EB3, but they have difficulty finding a sponsor. That's why at the end of the day they cannot apply for EB3. EB1A, on the other hand, it's a self-sponsorship. It depends on you, your background. If you qualified, if you have meet all the requirements, go ahead, apply for it. So this is a huge positive things of EB1A application. I should mention here, NIW is another self-sponsorship application. So you can also apply by yourself if you meet the requirement of NIW. We're not talking about NIW today. That's topic for another discussion. Also, there's a shorter waiting period for EB1A. Many of you already know that, US government, they publish visa bulletin every week, every month, and when you will be able to get green card, that depends on visa bulletin. So for EB1A, this is like the shortest waiting period to get green card, especially under employment-based categories. So that's another very good reason why you should apply under EB1A. Of course, if you meet the criteria. If you cannot meet the criteria, then you cannot apply for EB1A. Next slide, please. So one thing I should mention here before talking about this slide is there are 10 criteria for EB1A application. According to USCIS, you must meet at least 3 criteria before you apply for EB1A. However, me and our law firm, we encourage people to meet at least 5 criteria before they apply for NIW, because sometime when we submit your application to USCIS, USCIS officers, they may not agree with us, and that's the beauty of law. Many of our clients, they have a understanding that anytime we attorney say something, that is kind of like, for sure, which is not true. In legal world, nothing is 100%, nothing is for sure. Everything is subject to interpretation. Everything is subject to determination by the officer or the judges, or even the like a higher level of officer, higher level of judges. So many times when I talk to my clients, I tell them that law is not binary. It's not 1 or 0. Law is a very, there's a lot of gray area in law, and that's the beauty of law. And we cannot say anything for sure. That's like that's something we attorney, we must remember all the time we talk to our clients. So as I said, sometimes we may say, oh, my client meets 5 of those 10 criteria, and USCIS officer may say, no, he or she doesn't meet this criteria. We do not agree with you. That's okay. So at the end of the day, if USCIS officer who is examining your application, if he or she agrees that you meet 3 criteria, then your application is approved. So this is a huge thing, because sometimes our clients will say, why you're trying to meet more criteria? All we need is just 3. I said, yes, all you need is just 3, but we do not know whether USCIS will agree with these or not. So we need to be prepared for some more. And even if you can meet more than 5, that's great. However, I must say another thing. A lot of time, some of our clients, they have a tendency to try to meet all 10 criteria. It's great if you can meet all 10 criteria. However, if you do not have enough evidence, if you do not have enough achievements to meet all 10, if you just try to meet everything with like a very weak documents and something, it's not good. Sometimes USCIS officers, they're bored, they're like irritated if we say something that really doesn't make any sense. That's why, of course, we will try to meet as many criteria as possible with enough evidence, enough document. In legal world, evidence is everything. We cannot claim anything without evidence. This is a very important thing. Please remember that if something doesn't exist in paper, it doesn't exist in legal world. We can say those things, but without enough evidence, it is not acceptable by the court or USCIS officer. So please, a lot of time, some clients will say, hey, I meet this criteria, I have this. And I say, do you have evidence? Can you show me some document? They'll say, oh, no, it happened 20 years ago. That time there's not enough camera. We didn't take any picture. I do not have any document. And I'm like, if you do not have any picture, if you do not have any evidence, it doesn't make any sense to tell that to USCIS, because yes, we can say that, but they will not accept it without any evidence. So evidence is very important for any kind of legal matter, including EB1A. That being said, so this is the number 1 criteria of out of 10. Number 1 is national or international recognized prizes or awards for excellence in the field. So these awards can be any prestigious international prize or other nationally recognized awards from journalistic societies or media associations. With proper documentation, this criteria can be a sure shot for journalists, because pretty much every country, they have a lot of awards for journalists. And if you receive some prestigious well recognized awards, you can easily qualify for this one. So many USCIS, sorry, many journalists, they meet this criteria. Next slide, please. Membership in association. These organizations, so I'm talking about those organizations like associations, membership in associations. These organizations should be nationally or internationally recognized and have stringent entry requirement. This stringent entry requirement is very important, because if it is a very simple organization that anybody can join, everybody can join, then they will not meet this criteria. There must have a stringent entry requirement. Membership should not be open to just any professional. Instead, it must be limited to individuals who have shown outstanding ability and have met rigorous standards. So these are the important facts. A lot of time our clients will say, hey, I'm a member of this organization, it's very prestigious. I'm like, how do you know it's very prestigious? We need evidence that this is a prestigious and internationally or nationally recognized organization. And not only that, and there must have stringent entry requirement. It cannot be open for all. There must be some sort of mechanism to determine that being member of this organization by itself is a prestige for you. Again, evidence is very important. Evidence is key. Without evidence, we really cannot claim anything. Next slide, please. All right, number 2, published material about his her work in professional or major trade publications or other major media. So 2 key points need to be established here for the media. Number 1, the reputation, circulation number, and ranking of the trade publication media. So it must be a reputed media. It cannot be like a very new, nobody know about this media and nobody read it or nobody follows it kind of media. It must be a well established, reputed magazine or trade media. Number 2, the published material directly talks about the petitioner and his work. So the published material must directly talk about you and your work. Let's say they are talking about a different topic and your name was just mentioned there. That will not qualify you to meet this criteria. So this is very significant. Please pay attention with this part. Also, journalists, those who are journalists, you can easily write a document, write a paper or something. You can get it published in a newspaper, because many of the editors and other significant people, they're your friend. You can request them and you can get it published. However, to meet this criteria, it cannot be self-authored. You cannot write good things about you and publish it in a newspaper. It must be, the criteria in question is strictly refers to third-party articles, meaning someone else must write about you in that media, must talk about you. If it's a visual media, like let's say YouTube channel or a television, someone else must talk about you. You cannot talk good thing about yourself to meet this criteria. Next slide, please. All right, this is number 3, judgment of the work of others, either individually or on a panel. So this is another very significant. Many journalists, they easily meet this criteria. So I advise you to please pay attention to this one. If you have served as a judge for journalism competitions, award panel, or have been involved in evaluating the work of fellow journalists, i.e., for example, as an editor or mentor, these criteria can be met, providing evidence of your role in these capacities, such as individuals to judge competitions or contributions to editorial board, will demonstrate your expertise in evaluating others' work. So meaning, the competition must be a prestigious competition. It cannot be like a very, new, nobody heard about it, nobody cares about it kind of competition. It must be a prestigious competition. People must know about it. And again, this is equally applicable for all criteria. Evidence is very important. Please keep track of all the information, all the document for all the achievements. Next slide, please. Original contribution of major scientific major significance. So here also two key points need to be established. Number one, contribution must be an original creation of the petitioner. So it must be an original contribution, meaning you cannot just copy it from someone else. Later, if it is discovered that if you just copy it from someone else, that would be a big bad thing for your application. And many people they ask this question. That's why I'm talking about this. So let's say today you are first of all, submitting a fake document or fraudulent document for the purpose of US immigration is a crime. It's a fraud, it's a crime. Please do not do that. And many people, they ask me like, hey, what if I submit a fake document or fraudulent document and they cannot find it, they don't know that it's a fake document, what will happen? So first of all, if they can determine that it's a fake document now, they will definitely not approve your application. And even down the line, let's say 20 years from now, they discovered that you submitted a fake information or fake document for US immigration purposes. By this time, you got green card, you become US citizen, you brought your family members, everyone is well settled here in America. 20 years from now, US government discovered the fake document or fake information. They will be able to cancel all of your green card, your citizenship, your family members that you brought, everyone. Now, does that happen every day? Most likely no. However, it is possible. It is legally possible that even 20 years from you become US citizen, your citizenship can be canceled if you get benefit through a fake or fraudulent document. So that's why I recommend everyone to be very careful when apply for US citizenship or any kind of US immigration visa. Please submit authentic document. Please submit authentic information. Even though you are not getting visa at this moment, that's okay. You can apply for multiple times. There is no time limit. You can apply anytime. But getting a US immigration benefit with a fake or fraudulent document or information is really bad for your future. So please do not do that. All right. So about major significance. So the second part of this point is such contribution must be significant in the field. So not only it must be an original creation, it must be significant in the field. For example, reporters who have covered landmark stories that led to a policy change or sparked widespread public outcourse can use this criteria to demonstrate their significant influence. I think it's very self-descriptive, and if you have any question, please ask me. We will answer those later. Next slide, please. All right. Next topic is about authorship. Hold on a second. Authorship of authorship of scholarly articles. So, previously I said for that criteria, it cannot be self-authored. It must be someone else who is saying good thing about you. This one is the opposite. Here, you are the author, so you can write, about it. However, it must be a scholarly article. That's very important. I highlighted this part, scholarly. So if you have authored articles, books, or other publications that are recognized as scholarly or have significantly contributed to the understanding of journalism, media, or the subjects you cover, you can meet this criteria. Publishing in reputable media journals, books that have gained widespread recognitions, or any other scholarly contribution in the field are highly beneficial. A lot of time, journalists and other professionals, they have a lot of achievements, but they did not write anything scholarly. Scholarly publication and a random publication is different. For example, you visited a new country, you can write a travelogue. A travelogue is not a scholarly article. You cannot submit evidence of your travelogue or other kind of media coverage as a scholarly article. There are certain rules and regulations about scholarly article. I'm not going that detail because that will take like 1 hour kind of discussion about scholarly article. So please follow the requirements. Like most of the scholarly articles are peer reviewed. It must be peer reviewed. It must be published in an academic journal, in a scholarly journal. It's not published in a like regular newspaper. However, in regular newspaper, there are some op-eds, opinions that are considered as scholarly article. It can be that, but it must meet the requirement of a scholarly article. It's not, if it is not a scholarly article, if it's not like peer reviewed or something, then most likely you'll not meet this criteria. Next slide, please. All right. Display of work at showcases. So sometimes some journalists, they have difficulty meeting this criteria. However, especially if you're a photojournalist or like a video journalist, you can easily meet this criteria because probably your work has been displayed in a showcase. Also, being featured in showcases that highlight impactful journalistic projects on investigative series, whether through physical exhibitions or digital platforms, can also meet this requirement. Nowadays there's a lot of digital showcases. There are some digital museum, digital archives. So if your work has been displayed digitally, that's also okay. You also meet this criteria. Next slide, please. Performed a leading or critical role for organizations. This is also very significant. And please remember these two words, leading or critical. The organization must have a strong reputation in the field which cannot be fabricated. Please do not fabricate anything. US immigration system is very rigorous and they check pretty much everything. So please do not submit any fabricated information. Must be leading or critical to the organization's reputation, financial, social, or other interest. Evidence is key. Again, evidence is very important. Letter of recommendation, published material can be a good example of evidences. Example of organization can be in a club, society, federation, etc. However, they must be reputed organization. You cannot create an organization by yourself just for your own application. That doesn't look very good. Next slide, please. This is the continuation of the previous. So holding a critical role can also mean being responsible for content that shapes public opinion. So public opinion is very significant for the application for journalists. So if you do something that creates public opinion or that helps shaping the public opinion, that's really a significant contribution. That attracts significant advertising or drives financial returns. For example, journalists who have spearheaded exclusive stories or led teams in covering events that became viral, trending topics, or earned awards or resulting in sponsorship deals provides clear evidence of a critical role tied to financial and reputational gains. Next slide, please. All right. High salary in relation to others in your field. Salary comparisons, pay stubs, or contracts showing that you are compensated at a higher, well above the average journalist, higher level, well above the average journalist, reflecting your extraordinary skills and recognition can strengthen your case. Meaning, all it means is you have to receive a higher salary than your peer in your area, in your industry. So sometimes, from a foreign country, it's difficult because there is no industry data. We cannot find any industry data. In that case, if you can get a recommendation letter from someone senior in your field, and if he or she says that, yes, you receive higher salary than other journalists, that can also help you. Also, YouTube is a great platform because, a lot of foreign journalists in their home country, they have their own YouTube channel and they make a lot of money from YouTube because YouTube pays you in dollar, and when you convert dollar into your home currency, then it becomes a lot of money. So YouTube platform is really good to meet this criteria if you have a YouTube channel. If you do not have a YouTube channel, I really recommend you open a YouTube channel. It is really helpful for you. Next slide, please. All right, this is the last criteria, like a 10 criteria of number 10. Commercial success in the performing arts. So a lot of journalists, it's kind of difficult for them to meet this criteria, and if you cannot meet it, that's okay. You do not have to meet 10. As I said, if you meet 5, that's enough. 6, 7 is great. If you can meet like 10, that's awesome, but please do not try to meet artificially meet all the criteria. Try to make it like an organic application. I will talk about that in a minute, but just try to do everything in an organic way that makes sense. So if you have authored a best-selling book, produced a widely viewed documentary, or participated in media projects that generated commercial success, providing financial details and recognition associated with this work can support your case. It is very self-descriptive. So if you get commercial success for any of this, then it's good for you. You meet this criteria. Next slide, please. Now the question is, so a lot of time when clients come to us, their case is not ready to be submitted, ready to be worked with. And I recommend them to wait, build their case, and then submit their case. Instead of instead of submitting a half-cooked case to USCIS and get denied, it's always recommended to wait like 6 months, build your case, get ready, and then submit your case. It's always helpful because you're spending significant amount of money, time, energy, and at the end of the day, if your case get denied, you'll be upset. And it's bad for me as an attorney too. It kind of brings my success rate going down. So I want you to get ready, get prepared, and then you apply for EB1A. So the first thing is, begin by gathering all documentations that showcases your accomplishments. This is really important. A lot of time people start working and then they try to gather documents and information. That's not good. Please gather all the information and document first before even you start working with us. Next thing is, ensure that each document is clear, credible, and verifiable. This is important. Clear, credible, and verifiable. So for example, you get a recommendation letter for someone and there is no mention of that person's email address, phone number, address, organization, anything. So if USCIS wants to verify whether this recommendation letter is authentic or not, they have no way to do that. They automatically take it as a negative because it is not a verifiable document. Every document should be verifiable document. It should be credible. It should be clear. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have a leading or critical, you played a leading or critical role for an organization. However, the organization do not have any website. They have nothing in public. How do USCIS verify that? So organization must have a website. They must have everything there, and your role as leading or critical role must be mentioned there so that USCIS can go to their website and verify it. So this part, verifiable, is very important. Strong recommendation letters from well-established professionals in your field are particularly crucial. These letters should emphasize not only your achievements, but also their broader significance and impact to the industry. Ideally, you should obtain letters from senior researchers, industry leaders, or renowned academics who can attest to the importance of your contributions. So recommendation letters are very important. Next slide, please. All right. It's vital to demonstrate that your work has had a national or international impact. Simply excelling in your local area is not enough. You must prove that your contributions resonate and make a difference on a broader scale. Because EB1A, this is a very prestigious visa application. A lot of people call it Einstein visa. So if you're a great approved under Einstein visa, you must be someone like Einstein. I'm just joking. You don't have to be that famous, but yes, it has to be like your impact. The contribution of your work must have like a bigger impact, not like a very simple impact. Also, quality of your achievements are the most crucial. A lot of time people will come up that, hey, I received 10 awards. However, none of those 10 awards are significant at all. On the other hand, if someone receives 1 award, but that is a significant award, that is better than 10 non-significant awards. So quality is way, way more important than quantity for not only EB1 application, for any kind of US immigration in general. So quality of your achievements are really important. Try to avoid to show same achievements to meet multiple criteria. Meaning, so let's say you have done something, one thing, and you want to show that evidence to meet 3 or 4 criteria. Officially, you can do it, but it doesn't look good because then USCIS officer will think like, oh, he doesn't have anything else to talk about. So try to only show one item to meet one criteria. Do not try to show one criteria evidence to meet like three or four criteria. That doesn't look good. Also have your own website with good SEO. So I tell that to all of my clients, especially for EB1A NIW clients. Have your own website and keep all of your information on document everything in that website. So USS officer, what it happens in real life is when they get your file, they read your name and they Google it, because we all human, we are kind of lazy, we do not want to do everything that we need to do. So they will Google your name, and if they find a very good, well organized website keeping all the information and documents, they feel very good, they feel confident about you, and that boosts your approval rate. So I highly recommend you to have your own website, or not only one website, a LinkedIn page, probably a good X handle page, and all the things. The better social media management you have is good for your application. So those are the important. I think that's the last slide. Thank you very much. And next Monday we'll talk about different topic. Sabrina, back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Mahajan, for this wonderful presentation. I'm sure the viewers found it very helpful and insightful as well. So let's start with the question that came into our email. Going to that. Well, there's this one question saying that do my journalism awards needs to be from specific countries or organizations to be considered for the EB1A?
No, it can be from any country, but it must be a international or national level. So let me give you an example. So let's say you're from India and you received the award from South Africa, but it's a South African national award. That meets the criteria. So it can be anywhere in the world, but it must be nationally or internationally recognized.
Thank you. I think it clears it up. And the second one is can freelance journalists apply? What if my achievements are in a niche area of journalism?
Yes, freelance journalist, of course, can mean, you are applying by yourself. You're not applying on behalf of an organization. So no matter you're employed by a big media house or not, you can definitely apply even as a freelance journalist. But you must meet at least, five criteria that I just mentioned.
Okay, thank you for the wonderful answer. Then the third one is do academic achievements or contribution to journalism studies contribute to my application?
Yes, it does, especially that criteria that I said, authorship of a scholarly journal. If you have like academic achievement, academic publication, that's really helpful for you.
Okay. Then the next one is can media coverage of my work in languages other than English be used for the EB1A application?
Yes, it definitely can. However, if you submit any document which is not in English language, any document or information in a foreign language must be translated. And the person who is translating this document must give a statement that he or she is fluent in both languages, in the original language where the document is from and English language, and that the translation is clear and credible translation. So you have to submit the original one in a foreign language, you have to submit the translated copy in English, and also a statement from the translator that the translation is true and accurate. So you have to submit these three documents for each document in a foreign language.
Okay, Mr. Mahajan, thank you. I think you cleared it out very specifically. Then the next one, if I go, does being an editor, chief correspondent, or holding other leadership position help my application?
Yes, it does. Yeah, you can be anybody within the media industry. You can be a journalist, you can be editor, you can be photojournalist, video journalist, anything like to apply for. However, there's one thing I should tell. So a lot of time people come to us and they have achievement in different kind of areas. So for example, let's say you are a journalist, also you are a filmmaker, so you received the award as a filmmaker, but your all other criteria you meet as a journalist. So when we apply for EB1, we must pick one identity. If we pick your identity as a journalist, you receive the award as a filmmaker is not going to help you. On the other hand, if you apply as a filmmaker, then yes, you meet the criteria for the award, but you do not meet any other criteria. So if you have achievements in different kind of areas, sometimes even though you're very famous, you meet all the criteria, but it's not good for your EB1A application. So for EB1A, you must first pick an identity, and then all other supporting documents, all other claims, everything must meet that one single identity. Sometimes there are some umbrella kind of identities. Let's say journalist, let's say you are a documentary filmmaker, and your documentary film was more of a journalistic kind of work rather than a fiction. Then you do. So yes, it can be like an umbrella term, but it must logically meet the criteria, and it must make sense. So these are kind of like tricky things when sometimes they come to us and they have different backgrounds. So yeah, that's the thing. So short answer, yes, it can be anything.
Thank you. It describes it all. So the next one is, do journalistic investigations or exposes count as extraordinary achievements for EB1A?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I think we are done with this one, Mr. Mahajan. But for as per as our email questions, which are frequently asked questions, we can go on with the client named Mr. Hassan Imam. The queries is, I heard that if obtain E2 visa status in the USA, I can only travel to Bangladesh once under this visa status, and this restriction applies only to Bangladeshi nationals. Can you advise me on the actual rules? And additionally, there is a second question. Can I travel in Bangladesh or any other countries frequently once I require under E2 visa status?
Yes, so E2 has a specific rule for a specific country. So if you're from Bangladesh, your application and your status, your visa would be very specific for Bangladesh. Let's say someone came from Pakistan, or someone came from Uzbekistan, or like a Mongolia. They have a different kind of arrangement for E2. E2 depends on the agreement, the contract between your home country and the government of the United States. So once you have a E2 status, anytime you go to Bangladesh, pretty much every time you have to get a new visa. And of course, you can get it very easily through the Dropbox submission, but you have to take it. Now, if you visit a different country, so let's say so you're from Bangladesh, you have a E2 status, you live in America, you're going to Canada, Mexico, or let's say Europe. When you try to come back, then if it is only for 3 months, then you have to apply for visa in that embassy too. So short answer to your question, it depends on um, your country of origin. You're from Bangladesh, so it depends on Bangladesh, and it depends on where you're visiting. But E2 comes with some restrictions. It's true.
Okay, then if we go to our second question, which is asked by our client, Ms. 𝗍𝗍 Ghosh Roy. The first one is premium processing available if I apply for an E2 visa from
Yes, it is.
Bangladesh, or is it only applicable when applying within the USA? So yeah, that's the question. There's another question which was asked by Mr. Nasiruddin Sharkar. My family and I received an F4 visa on August 1, 2024, with a deadline to enter the USA by December 2, 2024. As a Bangladesh government employee, current restriction prevent all government employee from leaving Bangladesh, and I cannot obtain a no objection certificate (NOC) for December 2024. If I send my family before the deadline, but if I want to travel next year, then can I apply to Dhaka US consulate for as extension of my entry deadline?
Yes, so I would advise that please send your family members to the America within that deadline, and for you, please submit an application to U.S. Consulate in Dhaka, U.S. Embassy, and tell that, hey, because of this situation, I cannot travel. Please extend for one more year. And in general, they approve this kind of request. So yeah, please apply to them.
Okay, thank you so much. There's this another question from Mr. Abdullah Al Hilal. I filed an EB2 NIW petition for 140. through another firm and received an RFE. Can your firm assist me in responding to the RFE for my NIWI 40 petition?
The short answer is yes, but it depends on our workload. Sometimes we have a huge workload in our NIW team, and we even do not take any new cases at all. So, if you work with another law firm or another organization, and if you receive a RFE, we can take your case if we have time. If we don't have time, then we'll say no, because in our most priority is to our clients, and then our second priority would be to you or someone else. So it depends. Please send us an email. We'll be able to tell you whether we're taking any outside clients at this moment or not.
Okay, thank you. There's this another additional question which says, I applied for an F1 visa and my interview at the US consulate in Dhaka is scheduled for July 2025. My father is currently living in the USA as an asylum seeker. For his current situation or status, if my father sponsor for my higher studies for the USA, will it negatively impact my visa interview at the US Embassy in Dhaka?
Yeah, it may. So there is no guarantee that it will. There is no guarantee that it will not. It may negatively impact because your father is already in America. He applied for asylum. So there's a big chance once you're here, you may join under his application. So it may negatively impact, but there is no guarantee.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mahajan. We have one guest on backstage. Please welcome him. Can we please welcome him?
Hi, how are you? Please tell me your name and your question. Hello, can you hear us? Hello.
I think he's unmute. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, no, your video is also not on, so you can turn on your video too. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yes, can you? Okay. I think we have lost him for some reason. I'm sorry for that. And if we take some comments here, there's this one comment from Miss Sharmin Shormi. Is it any possibility that final action dates will move to next visa bulletin?
It's very hard to say. So visa bulletin, you have to follow it. There's no way to predict it. Sometimes people will try to predict it all these are like a prediction. It's not like any scientific, and we cannot get any data from Department of State in advance. So my suggestion to you is just follow it, please.
Okay. Additionally, she asked another question I can see, which is it any possibility that final action dates will move to next visa bulletin, visa category EB2 NIW? Okay, this is an
Yeah,
extended
it's equally
question.
applicable for all categories. There's no way
Okay,
we can
yes.
tell in advance. You have to follow the visa bulletin and check.
Okay, with that, our Q&A session ends. Thank you, Mr. Mahajan, for answering all the questions. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Thank you again, Mr. Mahajan. It was wonderful having you. Thank you for your valuable time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sabrina, and thank you,
Okay,
everyone. Yeah, thank you,
thank
Sabrina.
you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Before we wrap up, we would like to give a quick glance on the major immigration news of this week.
Welcome to the latest episode of weekly immigration news by Raju Law. This week we have 4 major updates. Let's start with the headlines. USCIS updates policy on sought-to-acquire requirement under 𝐶SPA. Qatar designated for visa waiver program by DHS. Biden-Harris administration awards $71 million in grants. DOL updates PERM and PWD processing time. Let's get into details. USCIS has revised its policy manual regarding the sought-to-acquire requirement under the Child Status Protection Act. The update clarifies that 𝐶SPA age is calculated based on the date an immigrant visa first became available.
Raju Law is one of the top immigration law firms in the USA. The success rate of Raju Law is over 99% in fulfilling the dreams of people from other parts of the world to get an American green card. Family-based, employment-based, asylum and green card related services are available under one umbrella at Raju Law. For any immigration related services, contact the address and phone number shown on the screen. You can also mail to info@rajulaw.com. Raju Law is your safe address for any assistance and advice regarding immigration to America.